Well, hello everyone again, and welcome. I'm Victor Lund. I'm the CEO of RE Technology and WAV Group, two companies that address different needs within the industry. WAV Group is a company that specializes in providing consulting services to brokerages, to MLSs, and to the tech companies that serve them. RE Technology is an information source that allows brokers and agents to find tech tools that are going to improve their business. So we operate both of those businesses and kind of sit in the center of MLS, brokerage, and technology. We also do a lot with associations of realtors, but that's not material for today's call. I want to welcome all the brokers on the call today. You're a member of an audience that's relatively large. There are 85,000 real estate brokerages in America. We just had a -1 yesterday when at Properties, Chicago's largest real estate brokerage, traded to Compass. Pretty rock star move by them. But in any case, we're grateful to have you here. I think it's a competitive landscape, and we understand that in order to be successful, real estate brokers need to work really hard. And one of the things that the broker is responsible for is obviously commission management. Now, the commission landscape has changed a lot over my tenure of the last 30 years in terms of how commissions are structured and commission plans are structured and paid to real estate agents. And one of the things that we've recognized is that a real estate broker who might be doing it on a piece of paper or on a spreadsheet and then using QuickBooks to actually execute the payment to the real estate agent, they are sort of diminishing the opportunity that a lot of the more sophisticated brokers are offering. So it used to be 30 years ago, 60-40 split, and that was the commission plan. It was a pretty simple thing. Today's commission plans have been rocked by all kinds of innovators, right? There's a lot of companies who, offer 100% commission, or they have waterfall commission plans. So it might start out as 60-40, but you hit this number and it changes to 70-30, and this number it changes to whatever, 80-20, 90-10, and then you cap out and you get 100%, but there's expenses over here, and expenses can be taken off the top, or they can be taken off the bottom, or you might be part of a franchise and they have a franchise fee. It's a mess. So you really need a system to do that. And honestly, one of the best companies in real estate providing these solutions is Lantrax. They've been the leader in supporting firms, the top 100 largest firms in America, with the most broad spectrum of services for commission management beyond anybody. There's a reason they're the market leader. They are able to do things that other software companies just have not been able to do. And we've known this. We've worked with real estate brokerages who are Lantrax clients for decades. We understand their superiority in the marketplace. There's a reason why they dominate in that area. It's just really one of the only solutions that the largest firms in America can use to support commission management for multi-office, multi-state, thousands of real estate agents and above. So in our conversations with them, I said, hey, why can't you take everything that you guys know and deliver it to small brokers so they can compete, so they can provide if nothing else, just inherit these exotic commission plans from other companies that a brokerage might recruit. And I obviously am not the reason why they did that, but they've certainly addressed an unmet need in the real estate industry by providing brokers of any size with a technology solution that will fulfill all of the requirements that you have as a broker to deliver any exotic type of commission system that might be necessary for you to recruit or retain agents. So I want to bring on really a rock star. If you know this guy, if you've ever worked with him, Aaron Taylor is the savant of commission management systems. One of the things that we find whenever we're working with brokerages who are Lantrax clients is they say, Aaron's our guy. And the cool thing, and you're going to meet Keith today, but Keith is another one of these great executives in the commission management area. Their strength and their history of working in this specific technology environment is unmatched in the real estate industry. So Aaron, welcome. How are you today?
I'm doing great.
So why don't you tell us a little bit about Lantrax and your background with the company?
Yeah. So I'm the president of Lantrax, president CEO. I've been with Lantrax since its founding. We've been out there for 25 years now, and working with back office and commission processing platforms the entire time. That's what I've done pretty much my entire professional tech career. And day to day, I'm involved in all aspects of what we do here at Lantrax and the solutions we offer, the Profit Power solutions and now Smarts. Is I'm working with the development groups, I'm working with client services, I work heavily with the implementation teams when a new client comes on, especially the ones that have the complexities that they have, and I make sure that we have the right resources doing the right things to make them successful.
Awesome. You know, I know it's interesting, but a lot of times I'll be talking to a broker and I'll mention Lantrax and they say, who? And I go, Profit Power. And they go, oh, those guys. Yeah, Aaron, I know him. You know? Yeah, it's remarkable how sometimes a product name can overwhelm a company name, but
yeah, exactly. And that's something that we talk about Profit Power in our current world, and now we're going to be talking a lot about Smarts. We try and say, you know, Lantrax is the company. And the other mantra that I really feel that our company has is we really feel we're a service company. We're not a software company. We have fantastic software, but you can have fantastic software and horrible service, and you're going to have a very bad experience trying to get anything accomplished. So we really feel that our clients shine with us when they tell other folks that they're very pleased with what we do and how we help them. And we also have great technology that backs all that up. But we want to be known for the service level we offer.
yeah, I know, you know, Profit Power is such a, you know, it's such a behemoth in terms of its functionality that it really is intended for large firms to have dedicated staff doing this each and every day with a lot of business complexity in terms of, you know, multiple LLCs and, you know, just quite a bit of difficulty. But you know, and I think it's wonderful that you made Smarts available that delivers all of that functionality and gives people an opportunity to operate a business with that level of sophistication without having to get into the dedicated commission management resources. I mean, most firms with, you know, fewer than 50 agents don't need all that. But you're giving them the functionality without all of the overhead, right?
Correct. Getting Smarts to where you're going to see it with Keith when he gets through, you know, in his presentation. It's about giving you the power of the reporting, because day-to-day management, the broker owners out there, they need to know who's on first, who's doing what, and what sales do I have coming in the future for cash flow and week-to-week, month-to-month type thinking. And then they need a system that their processor who's going to do the work day in, day out, and it might be them on nights and weekends. The Smart system needs to have a flow to it that they understand as a deal and as a transaction. And that's what we really focused on, was the usability down in those levels. And I'm going to cover some of that in my quick intro, and then Keith's going to really get into the details.
Yeah, I really want you to also share, like, I believe now for the first time, Lantrax has an offering that will permit franchise organizations to provide an accounting solution that's manageable for their franchisees. You know, and I think that's an enormous new competitive space for you guys. You know, Profit Power was too big and too heavy for a new franchisee with 50 agents. But now the franchisee can offer Smarts and still roll all of that up to the franchise system. So I think it's wonderful to see your company enter into that new matrix of competition. And having seen what I know you're going to show today, I think you're going to be a very, very competitive entrant to this space. So I don't want to give too much away, but I do want to just maybe hand it over to you so you can share at a top level, like what your strategy is and bringing Smarts to the market. And then I know Keith is going to talk about a lot of the really cool concierge services that you guys have. I think that this is a breakthrough way of looking at the needs of a small business owner, a small brokerage business owner, and I'm really excited to be the first to help you guys share that with the world.
Great. All right. Well, let me take it from here, Victor. I'll do my quick intro. I've got a few slides, and I want to get Keith right into the benefits of the system. The folks who are on the call here today, they really want to get in to see what we have to offer, so we'll get right to that. And Keith will also be covering what we call the concierge service to help with managing your platform from a day-to-day basis. Okay? So let me just go down to my next slide. So as we talked about, we have multiple solutions. We've got Profit Power Enterprise, Profit Power Professional, and now Smart, which is the topic of this call. Our Profit Power Enterprise Edition is for large transaction count clients. We have Long and Foster running that platform, Howard Hanna, William Ravis, people with thousands and thousands of agents, okay? Our Professional Edition, that goes the step down that says, look, I'm not doing 5,000, 10,000 transactions a year, but I'm doing 500 to 3,000. So our solutions try and fit the mold of what are you doing processing-wise? Because you could have 50 agents and process 1,000 to 2,000 transactions. Well, we're going to have you look at the Professional versus Smarts because we want to find the right solution for you. So our goal overall is, especially with now we have Smarts in the mix, is to be able to get out to the pieces and say, we can get you a solution that fits your needs. And Smarts, from its side of it, is a natural evolution of how we built our other products on that side.
What does SMART stand for?
So SMARTS is an acronym, okay, that comes back through for the professional side of it. And I apologize, Mr.
Maybe
Ron
we'll leave
Chirac
this one for Keith if he doesn't remember.
I'm going to leave that one for Keith because I will mangle the R part. I practiced with him for a few of them. What it is, it's an acronym that we put together for standardizing your transactions and the real estate world that goes with it from that side.
And I'll just piggyback on that. It's Sales Management and Real Estate Transaction Solutions. So the acronym spells what it actually is. So, yeah.
Right. Yeah. And I just got to get to my other note screen here. Give me 1 second. There we go. Get back. So as we rolled through here, we had talked about we're going to offer you the solution that's going to fit your need. When you talk to Keith or one of our sales staff after this call, if you're, see the things that you're interested in, we want to get you the most cost-effective solution, efficient and capable, that is really going to fit your needs. What you need versus another brokerage all depends on what we go through, what we call our business process review and our investigation on our sales process to make sure we got the right fit for you, right? So the next part that we talk about is how did Smarts come to be? We have Profit Power Enterprise and Profit Power that we've been out there for the last 25, 30 years or more. Smarts was built by the same development group behind our Profit Power solutions, a group that has a very deep understanding of how complex commission processing needs to work. And then hand in hand with that is the need for advanced reporting, business analytics, information in real time to help you understand where you're at and where you're going, especially if you've just recruited new agents, you've done some other things, you're trying to keep an eye on what's going on, okay? Our Profit Power solutions, they have a large install base across the country. We were able to take what we've learned over all those years, and that's how we came about building the Smart solution, okay? Because we saw a very big need there. You'll also see when Keith shows you our solution, we believe we have a much more intuitive workflow for processing of a real estate transaction. And then how do I get to my reports? Our reporting world, we actually have a separate place for that. It's not woven in and around the actual other processing components because we really feel a lot of folks just need the reports. They don't want to get tangled up in the actual application. So we separated those worlds out so that way the business analytics and the business reporting people can quickly get to and not be in and around, jumping around this screen to that screen to find this report over there and that report over here type world that we see in some of our other competitive products.
And can't agents get some reports too?
Yes, we have an agent portal that lets them self-serve 24/7, as I say, in their bunny slippers on a Saturday evening or a Sunday when they're trying to figure out, oh, I got to pay my quarterly taxes. They're usually texting somebody or emailing somebody on the weekend going, I was supposed to give this to my accountant. Can you send me that report so I can get my quarterlies done?
Yeah,
they have access to that 24/7.
Yeah, two important things that we've analyzed for our clients is number one, regardless of your size, there's a place that Lantrax can fit you in. Number two, even if you're the smallest brokerage, it's a growth solution. So you can start with smarts, move up to pro, and then into profit power.
Exactly, exactly. So, we talked about how Smarts was built. It's got, as Victor pointed out earlier, because of our deep knowledge and experience on what complexities you need, we were able to get Smarts going to focus on the brokerage firms in the 500 to 50 to 500 transaction count typically, okay? And we really felt that that market segment was underserved. There's a lot of potential options out there, but do they work well? And we've been connecting to systems like QuickBooks and Great Plains and all sorts of platforms on Enterprise Edition for 20 years. We know how to connect up to those other ledgers because we made it very clear we want nothing to do with building a competitor to QuickBooks. I find that the definition of insanity to try and keep up with that world. We said we have to be able to connect to QuickBooks as the typical provider for a lot of our real estate firms. And we do it in a very efficient manner. So that way you get all those benefits and not double keying between the platforms.
Yeah, now let's just pin that for a minute, Aaron. A lot of companies say we have QuickBooks integration. Now, without being too technical, can you explain for the brokers that are here today what the difference is between downloading and uploading your stuff versus a direct API connection? And do it in a way that people understand because everybody's saying, yeah, we have QuickBooks integration, but it's really not.
Yeah, I'll try and boil it down. Most of our competitors have what's called a receivables and a payable connector. I have an invoice that needs to be set up in QuickBooks to be paid for my income, and I need to throw a payable over the wall to get a payable set up to pay my agent. Okay, we do it differently. We do a mix of both, so that in one connection over to QuickBooks, we pull that transaction together. Okay, and our enterprise product and our Profit Power products, Profit Power does everything. Prints the checks, does direct deposits, and we send over a full ledger file to the other system. In our smart system, we said, well, QuickBooks is going to be your cut the checks kind of world and record your income. But in QuickBooks, you have to have an agent set up as a client, an agent set up as a vendor. You have to do all sorts of things to make it work that way. And we try to take those complexities out so you can focus on processing the deal and not having to rekey a lot of that data over to QuickBooks. And most of our competitors, you have very limited options on how it connects. Those are the key differences.
And Keith, I imagine that you're going to be covering the part about how you help brokers who aren't tech savvy to set up all of these relationships and get them working and kicking it off. So you don't have to worry about having the skill set in-house to deploy this solution. You're going to help them. That's Keith's world?
Yes, that's
I'm
correct.
most excited about that.
That's Keith's world. And we've also worked with, there's so many companies that help you connect between platforms with API connectors and things like that. You have to leverage who does it really well from that aspect. And we feel we've done that. Okay. That's all I wanted to cover. So Keith, I'm going to throw it over to you to go ahead and share your screen, and you can kind of jump into the features and benefits of the Smarts platform.
Yeah. Keith, let's start out by just talking a little bit about your background as well. I mean, you're one of the key executives now at Lantrax, but you weren't always there. So let's talk about where you're from and what you're doing now, and why you're so excited. Because if anybody wants to know anything about Smarts, they contact Keith. Aaron's in the background, right?
Yeah.
Correct.
Thanks. Yeah, so I've been around for a while, about 28 years. There was a little company called Lucero or Lucifer or Lucerna. It had many bad names in the old days, but finally it took, right? So some of you might have heard of it before, but so 28 years ago, we started in a garage in the middle of Florida in the DOS world. So that's how many years we've been looking at compensation plans. And if your compensation plan doesn't work, then our software doesn't work. So guess what? We had to figure out all these crazy different ideas that brokers have come up with for the last 28 years. So So that's where I'm coming from, specifically the back office space. I haven't dealt with CRM and websites and, specifically this one niche area. But talking with brokers about the same thing over and over and over again on how to automate processes and how to provide reporting structure through the use of software. And this ever-growing evolution of brokerages have come up with new ideas and new plans, but there's a lot of things that have remained the same. So I'm going to go ahead and so anyway, that's a little bit about my background. I was with my software company was bought by Lone Wolf, or actually by Market Links, First American, and then to Lone Wolf, and then I decided to come back to the company that I've always loved and respected, which is Profit Power. In fact, you're not going to find a Profit Power user that's not happy. That's a wonderful thing that is atypical, but is very common with the Profit Power world. Any other questions? If
No,
not,
that's excellent. Yeah, I'm really excited for you to debut Smarts and really show what it does. But I think that was a really good foundational intro to who you guys are as a company, who your customers are, your dedication to the trade, your understanding and deep understanding of literally decades of being in commission management. I don't think there's a commission plan you guys haven't seen. So it's pretty exciting for the first time for smaller organizations to be able to have that and have that support behind it, and really have a partner in commission management that's going to help them succeed.
yeah. And this is just an example of some of the clients that we serve. So the first thing you'll notice when you look at this list is it's a variety of brands and independents and all kinds of people coming together. And one of the things that we do that's a little different than other companies is that every year or once a year, usually once a year, we meet and we have a symposium where our companies would bring their 3 favorite things to the symposium, and then they would submit them at the final day. The next year, we would go through and talk about all those changes that we implemented. So Profit Power is really an evolution. It's evolved over many years through this ever-growing population of brokerages and their wants and needs and desires. So you can imagine the level of complexity that you need to serve this entity, these large entities. So there's not much we haven't seen that we can't handle. But now imagine, small brokerages, they don't need all of that, right? But they do need some of that core functionality. So let me digress. When you think about your favorite software, whether it's QuickBooks or Word or Excel or PowerPoint, or whatever it might be, maybe your smartphone. If you're to be honest, what percentage of it do you know how to use today? 20%, 30%? That's pretty much the average. The common answer is 20, 30%. As trainers, we're always trying to get you to use 70 to 80% or even more, okay? But what we come to realize is that small brokerages don't need that level of complexity. So imagine if you could extract out that 20 or 30% of what the most important critical things are in a software system for back office and to create a small version. So that's what we've done. We've taken those things that all of our brokerages have really wanted over the years and boiled it down to that 20%. So in Smarts, you still may be using only 70, 80%. Doesn't mean you're going to use all of it, okay? But the point is that we've taken that key component. Okay. So what do I mean by that? Well, it doesn't matter how big or small you are. Every Monday morning, you want your admin to run this report, or you want to pull it up on your smartphone, or you want to have it delivered to you, whatever methodology you're using in whichever of our products. But it's called a cash flow projection. Now, this report was created 20 years ago. It didn't quite look like this. It was pretty bland. But every year, over the years, people said, you know what, it'd be nice if I had not just my pending deals of what's coming up for closing, but I want to see my pending deals week by week. I want to see what's coming up this week, next week, the following week, 22 to 28 days, what's in the next 30 days, the next 31 to 60, anything over 60 days, and then total overdue. So this isn't here by accident. This is here by design and by request. Then someone said, you know what, how about let's add color? Because I'm a broker, I'm running quickly. I don't want to see a quick report that tells me what I have that's what's going on with, as far as closing. So I can see red, I have greater than 2 weeks over the estimated closing date. So you can see days to close. These should not be here. Yellow is 1 week over the estimated closing date. So they're a little bit overdue. And then green is coming up within this week for closing. So I might have a ton of green coming up and I need to stay in the office instead of staying on vacation this week. But every week when I run this report, my admin, it should make sure I don't have any red or yellow because I should not have deals that are overdue. So once again, not only is this a pending cash flow projection, but it's also an accountability report. Now, as you guys were talking about earlier, everything's mobile now. So you want to be able to access your reports mobilely. So in the old days, the agents would bug the admins to, for their commission statement to make sure they were paid correctly and go back and forth. But nowadays, you can imagine agents going in and just looking at it on their own, looking at their pending sales so they can see if there's any issues that are coming up prior to closing, looking at their closed deals and their transaction agent commission statements to make sure they were paid correctly. Instead of going to your admin complaining about not being paid correctly, they can see it immediately, etc. So you'll see other things here. Okay, so this is the agent cash flow projection. Just like we had the office cash flow projection, the agents can now go in and look to see what's coming up for closing, what's overdue. So instead of the admin chasing around the agent, now it's, hey, check your cash flow. Okay, so things have changed. Now, as Aaron had mentioned, as far as our reporting, we have web-based reporting. So it's all, a matter of whether I want to go into a portal and pull it up. I can pull it up on my smartphone. And so as we're going through this, I'm going to talk about some reports first, then I'm going to go into the program, then I'm going to come back to some reports. So this is something we'll look at a little bit later. Okay. So this is a report that was created 20 plus years ago. And this is quite frankly the reason we all exist. Coldwell Banker, many years ago, their consultants were requiring that their brokers would create a report and submit it to them monthly. And this is it. So imagine back in the DOS days, trying to figure out which all these numbers are, even just in Excel even. And I know a lot of you are probably using Excel right now, okay? But getting away from that, you're able to provide yourself with these types of reports where you can see what your average sales volume is, your average commission, your average referral fee, your average agent commission, your average retained company dollar. And you're just looking at this, over 1 month period. Now imagine, well, and this is once again, the Coldwell Banker consultant said, hey, we want not only just 1 month, but we want every month. And we want it listed. So you can imagine the amount of work it would take to figure this out. Now, it was a good enough report and enough people requested it that we made it available to all the brokerages because it doesn't need to be just unique to Coldwell Banker. It's something that everybody wants. And so this goes back to the point of why small brokers use this software, because you're getting a taste of the most important critical components that brokers have depended upon for many years. This is another example. What about the new agent you hire? Imagine they start with your company and you want to sit down with them and you want to look at a year-over-year period to see how they've improved. And when you think about real estate transactions, a byproduct of those transactions are real estate indices. Things like contracts written, contracts closed, contracts canceled, what percent has been canceled, volume written, volume closed, listings taken, volume taken, referrals closed, agent income earned, contribution to company dollar. All of these things are metrics or indices to look at to see if they're improving or not improving. You may want to look at an agent that started with their company, and we know they don't make any money for the first 3 months, but maybe you want to look at the last 6 months versus the last 3 months. So you don't have to have even periods here, but you can really run these reports to show how an agent's doing. This is what we call the Associate Performance Summary Report. And this is interesting because what we're doing is we're saying that let's look at everything an agent's contributed, okay, to the company. But let's take a factor. Let's put in what their desk cost is. Now, a desk cost is not a desk fee, okay, not like a Remax desk fee. They're not paying a desk fee. It's how much does an agent cost to sit at that desk? And I understand they're not at their desk, but bear with me. Every agent has a different cost. Some agents cost more than others. Some are more high strung and require more resources, use more of your TM time, and require more help. Okay, so everybody has a different cost. One of the old ideas was let's just figure out how many agents we have, and factor in a profit and divide by the total number of desks and by the total number of months, and let's come up with a monthly, desk cost. No, that's not correct. Every agent is different. But once you plug that number in and you run this report, it's going to tell you if the agent's making you money or losing you money. Okay, in this case, this agent has made the company $12,000. This agent, not so much. This is what we call the pink slip report. So not only is this to help provide structure and to provide, really structure and to automate your commission calculation processes and provide, critical management reporting, but it also gives you the ammunition or the ability to go ahead and make those hard decisions where it's not an emotional decision, it's a financial decision. So in this case, this is the pink slip report. This agent has contributed very little, but notice this nice little red bar at the bottom. So it makes it easier making some of these hard decisions. Obviously, we have the holidays coming up. So a lot of franchises do this already, but you should be doing it too. And that is rewarding your agents based on different things. I mean, obviously, we see Timmy here is the #1 in company dollar, right? So, and we're going to look at this in a little bit later when we get more into reports, where I'll click on some of these. But each one of these columns are sortable. So anytime I click on an item up top, it resorts that column. So I can provide awards reporting at the end for #1 in company dollar, who's #1 in list units, buy units, volume, buyer side volume, GCI, etc. Okay. Obviously, an agent roster is important. I mean, this is just another additional report. And then one of the things you'll notice when I click on a blue link, it will drill down into that person's record, and we'll talk about that later. This is a very important report where an agent comes in and says, you know what, I deserve a higher commission rate. Okay, they've been with you for a while and they're ready for a higher split. So this is kind of like a profile or a report card or a snapshot of what they've been doing. So if you notice at the top there, I have the agent listed, I have the plan they're on, I have their anniversary of commission anniversary date. I'll pause here just for a moment. An anniversary commission date, a lot of people will do January 1. Okay, but why not do it based on the anniversary of hire date or their birthday to start over each year? Imagine the agents at the beginning of the year, if you're on a multi-level plan or a waterfall plan, as Victor had mentioned, they're at the low end of the splits in January, and then by December, they're at the high end of the splits. So wouldn't it make more sense to stagger their start over period for their new plan based on something rather than January 1? It's also a lot of agents tend to start their own companies and things at the end of the year, So once again, the ability to be able to handle that. A lot of brokerages that don't have systems, they do it January 1 just because it's easier to deal with, but it's not financially the best idea.
Can you talk about the underpay plan? I see a description there. New from school, 50 to 90, 4 levels, 10K CD. What is that?
Yeah, so there I'm naming my plan. So I'm saying I have a plan that starts at 50%, which nowadays is probably 60, but 60%, and it goes all the way up to 90. But as you increase something, okay, what is that something? Company dollar is what the CD stands for. I'm saying you're going to start at 50%, then you may go to 60, then 70, then 80, then 90. You can make up to 90% if you join my firm. That's why you have a plan in place. That's why you don't say, hey, agent, you're going to make 60%. That's it. Why not say, hey, agent, you can make up to 90%, but I'm going to start you at 60. But once they hit their first break-even point where they've made enough money to contribute to the company with a little bit of profit, maybe, then they've covered their costs. But the point is, you're giving the opportunity to go through multiple levels. So 50 to 90 is multiple levels. It's 4 levels, starting at 10,000. And it's based on company dollars. So when we get to the comp plan part, I'm going to talk about this in depth, but that's what it's referring to, is what plan is it that this agent is attached to. Does it make sense?
Yeah, I love it. I think that's a really important point. A lot of firms, smaller firms, they really struggle with these what I call exotic comp plans. And even when you're predicating or you're trying to forecast out company dollar, like one of the things that the software does auto magically is that it knows that, oh, if this deal closes, then company dollar is going to be lower because they passed a waterfall, a new threshold, a new forecast, right? So when you're forecasting company dollar, as these agents scale through these comp plans, which are almost impossible to track on a spreadsheet, you can see what the impact to the business is.
Yeah, absolutely. Very important point, Victor. Too many times, once again, since 1996, okay, we've been dealing with every comp plan you can come up with, and we deal with new brokers that are starting out every day with new companies, and so many times they have set commission rates at one level, or they borrowed it from their last brokerage they come from, or they read something somewhere. It's the craziest stuff you've ever seen. And you also understand there's no real courses out there that really define this. And even today, you'll find if you talk to the CE shop and even CRB, there's no real like programs that really teach compensation strategies. So we're not really teaching today, but what we're talking about is understanding why you should think about varying from your commission plan you have today, the one that is at set rate plan or et cetera. So we'll talk about that when I get a little bit more into comp plans here in a second.
Thanks, Keith, because I think this is one of the key elements that's holding a lot of brokerages back from recruiting and retaining agents. So I really love it. Thank you.
Absolutely, absolutely. Okay, so but once again, this profile is a snapshot, an agent saying, hey, I can pull this up and look at it myself. Brokerages can look at it. There's a little variation depending on what the agent see versus the agent. But the point is I can see plan to date earnings. How much have I made so far? Okay, then that plan. What is my current level? 50. What is my next level? 60. Okay, how much do I need to get to that next level? 7,000. What about my listings taken? What about my written sales, my closed sales, my pending sales? So it really is a snapshot or a profile of exactly what's going on at that moment. Now, obviously, there's the back office reports. We talked about the cash flow, looking at comparisons. We looked at rankings. We looked at a profile. But what about the day-to-day reports? What about the ones where right now you're having to do it by hand? You're having to figure this out. You're having to submit CDAs. You're having to create agent commission statements. This is the first of what I call functional daily type reports that you use per transaction, things that you kind of can't live without. The first one is a transaction worksheet, was an overall breakdown of the deal. Obviously not something we're going to show the agents, okay? But it is something that, let me go back previous one more time. But it's an overall breakdown of the deal. So I can see all the agents involved. I can see the branches they're at. I can see any deductions I have, what their splits were. Okay, any other details about this transaction? So in the old days, we put this in a filing cabinet, but today it's an overall breakdown of the transaction. This is one of the most critical reports because agents rely on this daily. And I can tell you, coming all these years ago, even from Lucero, and now with Profit Power, we've enhanced it more, is this box at the top right. The rest of this is makes pretty a lot of sense. It's just a commission statement. So you've got the breakdown of how they're paid, any off the tops or off the bottom deductions. I'm going to talk a little bit more about that in a second. But this is their statement. But notice this box. Why is this important? Well, an agent, if they're on a multi-level plan, they want to know how close they are to getting to the next level. They want to know what is their year-to-date commission volume in units. Okay, what is their commission for this year? I mean, they want to know how close they are to getting to the next level. Okay, so they really focus on that. One time we removed it and they immediately put it back and based on popular demand. Okay, this is a big one. It looks very simple. It's a commission disbursement authorization form. I bet some of you on the phone today are manually creating this and submitting it to your title company or attorney to pay the checks, right? So this is once again what I call a functional report, where if you're not doing it within a system, you're doing it by hand. Okay, well, I'm now going to go over.
Back up for just 1 second.
Yeah, sure.
If you haven't used a commission management system before, if Timmy is straddling two plans and part of the compensation from this trade is in plan one and part of the compensation in this plan is plan two, the amount of time and energy it takes for the broker to calculate the commission and come up with the amount of the check, to do it by hand, is impossible.
Yeah.
Whereas with smarts, you can just go in, run the report, it's done, submit it. You can do it from your phone in your car.
That's right. That's right. And those that are doing it are spending an enormous amount of time doing this kind of stuff instead of out recruiting more agents or building their business. Getting stuck in the minutia of trying to figure out how to pay agents, especially when they're going through multiple levels. And are they prorating or not prorating? Does it break in the middle of a transaction, or do you wait till the next deal before it actually moves them to the next level? Figuring out how to calculate that is a nightmare. And then putting it to a form and then submitting it for each plan. So I've run into a lot of brokers that are doing a lot of these things manually. So reduction of staff workload, reduction of their own workload themselves that are doing it, or it could be just losing their mind having to deal with all this stuff. And the bigger you are, the worse it gets, by the way. I used to tell brokers, hey, go buy QuickBooks. If you have less than 10 agents, go buy QuickBooks and come back and call me in a year. And it's amazing the amount of times that brokers would call back in a year and say, you know what, I did what you said and you're right. Nowadays, it's different. Now, brokers are starting out with a system. I don't care if you have 2 or 3 or 4 agents. The point is software, it's whatever price we put on it, right? So we reduced the price all the way down to $99 a month for the small brokers to, to get into this back office system to automate these processes. Obviously, the larger you are, the more you pay, okay? But in today's society, people are starting out I have many companies now with 2 and 3 agents that are starting out with this. Obviously, you get beyond 10, it becomes even more of a nightmare. You get beyond 20 and just hang it up. You got to have a system. So, okay. I'd mentioned that every year we get together and talk about, what we should add to the system and software. When you go to our website, you're going to see testimonials and reviews, and these are not plugged in there. This is real. If you talk to any of our clients, you're going to hear the same thing over and over and over again. Okay. Okay. Let me go ahead and end that. Now what I want to do is actually go into the software. Okay. And I want to go ahead and just start with the fact that this is a dashboard. Okay. And before I really get into this dashboard, I want to go right into what Victor was asking about, because I think that's a critical part of what we're talking about today. Okay. So obviously this is a back office system. I have a place where I can look through my different modules. Okay. But I want to start with compensation. So when you think about comp plans, you have a lot of different ideas out there. Some of those ideas, could be something like a 60 to 90 plan.
So Keith, a lot of this may not be readable for people. So you may want to just highlight whatever, for users, if you're on Zoom, you can expand the screen if you want to look at what if you want to be able to read it, because it looks like the font is kind of small. Obviously, when you're not on a Zoom, this is all very legible for you, but go ahead and just explain what you're showing, please.
Sure. Thanks, Victor. Yeah, if I can't zoom in, I don't see a zoom here. Okay, they can zoom.
They can zoom in. Yeah.
Okay.
Just use your mouse and widen the Zoom screen, and you'll be able to see more clearly.
Okay. Let's see here. Okay. Okay. So as far as different plans are concerned, the things you got to think about is, what am I basing my plan on? So what I'm looking at is company dollar, agent income, gross commission, gross less referrals, and gross less referrals less off the top. So what we found is that there's 3 different variations of gross commission. But these are the most common things that people base plans on. So when you think about these numbers, 0 to, this says 10,000, 10 to 30, 30 to 40, 40 to infinity. We're saying, hey, we're going to start you at a level, but as you hit these breakpoints, you're going to move to the next level. And we're going to base it on whatever we want. What we're saying here is, and probably the most popular one is company dollar. We're saying from 0 to $10,000 a company dollar, you're going to make 50%. But then once you get to 10,000, you go to 60%. And then once you get to 30,000, you go to 70%. And once you get past 40, you top out at 90. So I'm saying to an agent, hey, join my company, you can make up to 90%. I'm going to start you out at 50. Okay, but you can make up to 90. I'm going to base it on company dollar. So that's one plan I create. Then I turn around and I create another plan. Okay, and this goes into that CAP and compensation planning and strategy software. But imagine I have another plan where I have an agent on something else. Let's say, let me pick one here. Agent income. So now I'm saying from 0 to 35,000, you start at a certain percentage. Okay. The point is that the numbers down here are specific to whatever I'm basing it on, and you should base it on maybe a plan on company dollar, maybe a plan on agent income or personal income, money that's coming into them. Okay. I have other plans that I have one based on gross, which is the gross commission. So you can see there's a lot of different plans here playing around with.
Can I just add a note here about agent recruiting and retention?
Yes.
Why this is so important. So One of the things that Smarts allows you to do as a brokerage is recruit an agent and allow them to bring their plan with them. If you don't have a commission management system and you're inheriting a plan from another brokerage, which may have this level of exotic commission structure, you're going to find it very hard to maintain that commission account for that agent. So it can paralyze you. The second thing is, if you are exotic, if you have 35 different commission plans for 50 agents in your office, sorry for using the number 50 all the time, this can be any number of agents, but the more commission plans you have, the more difficult it is for a competitor to attack your agents as a recruit if the commission plan, if they don't know what commission plan an agent's on. So Keith and Aaron might work for my brokerage and they're on completely different commission plans doing the same amount of volume, and they might even be making the same amount of money, but the path to get there for Keith and Aaron is very different. So if somebody's trying to recruit your agents away and they don't know in advance when they're talking to that agent what type of commission plan they're on, it gives you a little bit of a buffer. It makes it more difficult for a company to recruit your agents away because they can't say, well, I recruited that person with this plan. They don't know how to recruit the next person. So sorry for the interruption.
No, you're absolutely right. Absolutely right. And that's why I argue to have a variety of plans, not just the one plan you have today. And I would argue maybe even think about some things like this. Like imagine if I was to incentivize, and what am I looking at? I'm looking at in-house list side, in-house sell side, co-broke list side, outside broker, or co-broke sell side. So this is how I pay my agent if they're in that spot or that situation where they're on the in-house list side or in-house sell side. Now, what I did here was I increased the in-house list side and even the co-broke list side to do what? To increase in-house list or to increase listings. So I've seen brokers do a lot of that. I've even seen, now obviously it's not as common, but I think in today's society with the way things are going, that you should start entertaining the idea of expanding your compensation strategies. Another idea was people said, you know what, if it's in-house, I'm going to give them a little bit more. If it's a co-broke, they're getting 60, but if it's in-house, I'm getting 62. Okay, so there's a lot of ideas. Then you have the brokerages that said, you know what, I can't touch my levels. If I do, they're going to leave, right? How many of you are worried about that? You mess with the structures. What about off the tops and off the bottoms? The franchises are doing it. They're charging their off the top fees. If you go join a Coal Banker or Century 20, any one of these companies, they're paying 6 to 8.5%, whether it's Berkshire Hathaway or it doesn't matter. Okay, that's an off the top deduction. And an off the top deduction actually reduces the amount of time that they're able to get to the next level, but that's another course, another day. Another thing to think about is off the bottoms. Think about that $35 per closing that you could charge to help collect that E&O fee that you have to pay annually. Or think about that new transaction management system like AppFiles or SkySlope or et cetera. How are you going to pay for that? What about $150, $250, $350 transaction fee? So these are the kinds of things that I talk daily with brokers about. I've heard a lot of this over time. Believe it or not, $35 for E&O has been around for a long time, and the number hasn't really changed. Okay, but once again,
Keith, I just want to interrupt you there because I think one important thing that I want the brokers on the call to understand is that you don't have to go to Keith with a knowledge or awareness of how to do all this stuff. You have to come to them with your goals. You have to come to them with your problems. They're here to provide solutions for you. They're not here to take what might be simple in your life and make it complex. Their software takes the complexity out of it to keep your company simple and your operations simple, even though you're handling very complex systems.
That's right. That's right. And we can even go as far as to say, do we want, in the middle of a transaction, that you were saying earlier, I have a $20,000 commission, okay? And I'm at 0 to 15,000. The first, 5,000 would be at 60%, or say it's a $10,000. The first 5 would be at 60, the other part would be at 70. The point is it will prorate between the deal, between the levels. So that's what blending means. If I don't blend, it'll wait till the next transaction before it moves into the next level. So there's even that level of scrutiny. Okay. Comp plans. Whatever you have, you bring them to us or we can help you. But the point is we have to plug those in. That's part of making the system work. Okay. The next part is we set up obviously your company information, your details. Now what I'm doing is I'm going in the middle and going from the middle to the left. Okay. And we're going to end up with sales here in a second. But we set up your company information, also your branch information. And maybe you have a certain default amount that you want to collect, percentage wise, and you don't want your agents going below a certain amount. So I can set this up so that if they do charge a cut rate commission, it will add this to their bill. There's just different little things that we set up when we're setting up branches. But notice in the top here, company info, branch info, commission plans, that's part of setup. Once we have all your plans in, we have your branches in, we can also assign virtual assistants, which can actually help assist in the process. So say you're bogged down and you have time to deal with it. Okay, that's something we can do. Now, one of the things
That's
I want
important. We got to stop there for a second.
Yep.
So for the brokers on the call, an important differentiation about smarts relative to other people that are serving this marketplace is that if you don't want to manage your commissions, they have people that will manage them for you.
That's right.
So you can hire a commission manager. You set the business model, you set the plans, you determine how agents are going to get paid. But when it comes to processing all of this stuff, the administrative part of it, if you don't want that in your life, you don't have to have it. They'll do it for you.
That's right. That's right. And if you think about it, the constituents of this transaction, I mean, they will be putting in deals, adding new agents, things like that. With the things that you would do when you think about a deal, which is what generates a lot of these reports. You've only got a couple of different modules. You have your sales, your third parties, which is your co-brokes, your agents, your clients, which is your buyers and sellers, your listings and your sales. Okay, so that's what makes up a sale. On the left here, you're going to see each area I click on. At the very bottom, it shows you the data, but it goes through each one of the modules, so I can quickly and easily see if there's anything missing. Notice the percentage bars to the right. Okay, notice here I have one that's called third party. I clicked on it. I have a 75% here. Wait a minute, what does that mean? If I click on it, it goes directly to the record. This is one of the secrets of how it takes us 3 or 4 hours. Now think about it, it's December. You want to get started the new year with a new system. Good luck trying to find a system that takes less than 4 to 6 weeks to set up. This takes 3 or 4 hours. Part of that is because of Coach. Coach tells us once we go through and work interactively and shadow your session so that you're actually driving as we're watching. But as I put in data, notice on the right-hand side, it goes away. I have a nice little red box here telling me that I'm missing something. I put it in, it's gone. So this main menu area is a way to keep track of, and this is how our VAs, by the way, also make sure all of this stuff is in correctly and consistent as we go through and view this information. Okay.
So I want to emphasize 2 things that are really important to understand. One of the things that Keith brought up was this idea of coach. That means when you call in for support at Lantrax, you're in the middle of a transaction or you're in the middle of doing anything. It doesn't matter what it is. You're stuck. You don't know what to do. When you contact their support team, they actually see your screen. They come in and they see exactly what you're looking at, and they can go in and help you then and there. You don't have to say, well, I'm here and I did this and I did, like, they see exactly where you're stuck and they can get you unstuck. The second thing, and only only a part of it is shown here, is that this not only handles residential transactions, this handles commissions on leases and rentals. I know a lot of small firms have property management businesses and there's commission available to agents on that. It also handles commercial real estate. So you don't need to go out and get a completely different piece of software for handling your commercial transactions. Those are 2 very unique features of Smarts that I wanted to point out.
Very good. Very important. So real quick on the dashboard, you'll notice sales is where you're going to spend your time. Once we get the agents in, once we get the commissions in, we attach the agent to the right commission plans. The listings, there's only 7 fields. We're not an MLS. So it's really simple to put a deal in. But once you put that deal on from the dashboard, you can see what's going on with your records. I can look at closings, all. I can look at, so right now it's going through and looking at all of my closings. I can look at what's coming up in 1 week and work on these. What's coming up in 2 weeks? What's coming up in 3 weeks? What is completely overdue? Okay, and then verified sales are sales that we closed and we queued to go to QuickBooks. Okay, so this is simply a dashboard that kind of gives us an understanding of what's going on. Now on the right-hand side, you're going to see more detail as far as the accounting link. Okay, so when you talked about the different pieces here, asset, income, bill, liability, you can see it right on your main screen. But let's go back real quick and talk about the fact I was at third parties. Okay, but associates, once we have all of our plans in, this is where we can link the agents to their correct plan, so that when we're in a deal, it's going to come back to this agent record, look at their commission history, see what their plan is. Is it based on company dollar, agent income, GCI? What is it? What level to pay them at? Then it sends it back to the sales component and calculates that commission. But there needs to be like an HR area or a place to house this information that's important for reporting and to hold information about the agent. So that's why you see all these things like license number and birthdays and do they owe any money, and what's the password for their personal account, and when does their commission year end, etc. Okay, so, and then on the right, you're going to see there are reports that are built in here that we can access directly, okay, per person. And those are some of those you're looking at on the right. Now, I mentioned there's tons and tons and tons of reports. I could spend another hour on reports alone, but we don't have the time. Okay, but we can do that in a personal demo or etc. But clients are simply going to be buyers and sellers. And guess what, guys? If there's a referral that it's an incoming or outgoing, we can you can tag that here, and it's going to remind us when we get to the deal. So clients, listings, I talked about the fact there's not many fields that make a listing. We're not an MLS. We're not trying to send this up to pictures, to reporting. This is simply address, city, state, zip, listing date, expires, the price, the agent involved. That's it. Okay. So when I go to sales, and this is where you spend your time, and I say I want to add a new sale, and I say, okay, notice coach. Coach is taken over on the right-hand side. It's telling me what to do. On the left-hand side, it's even dropped down the menu saying, what branch is it? Okay, what type of sale is it? List side, buy side, in-house? Okay, well, I said it was a list side, so which one is it? Well, okay, it was the one on Powerline. Okay, and select. Okay, so then what's the sales price? $650, 1, 2, 3. What's the acceptance date? That is today. Estimated closing, that's going to be next month, on the 6th, let's say. Coach is telling me you must select a buyer. Sales, find a buyer. Okay. And select, I must find an outside broker. Anytime I'm going to click and do anything, I click on the bold highlighted area at the top to do it. So I'm simply finding an outside broker. And then we'll pick one and done. There's only 3 steps to adding a listing, 3 steps to adding a contract, a sale. So that's the first screen. The second screen is where I go in and look at the breakdown between the 2 sides. Nothing to do with the agents, simply the sides. But this is where I can manipulate or change anything I want, and it will recalculate. Maybe I have some referrals or I have an off the top. Okay. Then here's my agent. This is my second screen. Here's my third screen. Now I'm in the commission detail for that agent. And now it's broken this down based on how I pay the agent. And maybe this agent is selling their own personally owned property, and for that they only get 60%. Okay, so you can see I can automatically override any commission. So there's nothing we can't change, because in the real world of real estate, there's no such thing as a normal deal. Deals change, but having that flexibility and simplicity to be able to do it on the fly and quickly is what makes all the difference. And that is all there is to putting in a deal. And from that deal, it provides that transaction worksheet, that commission statement, the sales invoice, the CDA, et cetera, et cetera. Okay. So that is, that was the main thing. I know we're kind of running close on time, but anything else you want to talk about, Victor, relative to the sale?
No, let's wrap it up and recap. So Smarts is $99 a month. It's one of the most affordable commission management systems that you can find in real estate. The product is incredibly capable of managing all commission systems and scenarios that you might experience. Some of the unique features of the product are that not only supports residential real estate, but also any kind of property management business or commercial real estate business that you might do. It allows you to recruit and retain agents more effectively. if you don't have the staff, if you're a growing business and you don't have the staff to operate the system, they have a virtual assistant program that will operate it for you. So it gives you a part-time employee to manage it for you. And, you know, and again, the integration with QuickBooks is real integration. It actually allows your general ledger of payables and receivables to be managed through an API connection. So you're not moving data back and forth, it's moving it for you. So listen, this is a really powerful product. I really appreciate you guys coming on. And Aaron, great job with your development team on putting this together. Keith, excellent demonstration. I think you went in deep and you showed people like how they would be using the software. And clearly anybody who's not using a commission management system today needs to be looking at this category of product. And I think that you guys have a very compelling offering. So I just want to appreciate it. I know there are a couple questions here. One question that I saw come up is, you know, we used the number 50 in terms of agents a couple of times. It was really just an example, but I want to assure everyone that this is a product that, you know, if you're a team and you have 4 people on your team, you may want to use this, whatever. So, you know, it doesn't matter what size company you are. This is a great solution. And as you scale, you get into dozens or hundreds of offices in multiple states and different brands and different LLCs. This is a company that can grow with you. So you can scale these things up. If you're, you know, part of a franchise and you're interested in finding a scalable low-cost solutions for your franchisees, Smarts is it. So I think you guys did a great job. I really appreciate it. Thank you for coming on and letting our brokers know what you have. I look forward to your success.
Thanks, Victor.
Thank you, everyone.
All right. Thank you, Aaron. All right. You guys have a good day.